Welcome to the Alouettes Flightdeck, the podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I'm Cliffy D. You can find me on X at Cliffy D.
And I'm Tim Kepper. You can also find me on X at Repact. That's REPPACT. And this podcast is presented by our good friends over at SportBuff, where if you use the promo code ALSFlightDeck10 at checkout, you will save 10% off your entire order. So head over to sportbuffshop.com, use the promo code, save 10%, get some great merch, and don't forget to support local.
And the Alouettes Flightdeck is all over social media and the World Wide Web. For our entire archive of our 7+ seasons here on the Alouettes Flightdeck, head on over to www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. Shoot us a follow on X at AlouettesFLDeck. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/AlouettesFlightDeckPod. Follow us on Instagram at Alouettes Flightdeck, as well as Threads at Alouettes Flightdeck. Check out our YouTube page over at youtube.com/Alouettes Flightdeck. And last but certainly not least, make sure you check out our merch store over at teespring.com/stores/Al's Flight Deck, where you can get all sorts of great stuff, including our Cartoon Bird 56 t-shirt, which you're going to need if you are going to be attending the fan meetup at Thanksgiving. Make sure you use the promo code TGiving23 and save 10% off your entire order there as well.
It sounded like there you needed some bacon.
Who doesn't need bacon? Well, maybe not pigs, but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the literal sense, because
in the literal sense, that's like a chicken eating. Anyways, what a way to start off. It was this game. We expected so much more of this game itself, and it just seemed that certain things just led up to just another atrocious outing for the Alouettes, and you know, it started off okay-ish, but as we saw by what the final score was, the Owls just could not hang with the Argos once again, and that's that's obviously frustrating for fans and stuff like that. Cliff, this is a team that's 0-6 versus the top teams in the CFL currently, and Argos already have clinched a playoff spot, and it's very possible whatever depending on what the result is this week, it's the Argos are in line to clinch the East this week, but certain things have to be done in order for this Owls team to even be on the same level with the Argos this week.
Yes, I think that's a very fair statement to say. This past Saturday was just absolutely atrocious over at BMO Field. Just an absolute, I want to say comedy of errors, but comedies are supposed to be funny. This was not funny at all. This was just brutal. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Montreal Alouettes. And, of course, the Toronto Argonauts, they showed why they are the premier team in the league. And like you said, this Alouettes team is currently 0-6 versus the so-called top-tier teams of this league, including Toronto. And there's definitely proof that, without question, Toronto is the class of the East, whereas Montreal wants so badly to hang with these guys, but they sure as hell didn't last week. It was not pretty at all.
No, it's... again, it was probably the second game this year where we wanted to turn. We really wanted to turn the game off, but we knew we hadn't. So we had to live through the 39-10 drubbing to the Toronto Argonauts. As I said, dropped the Alouettes 6-6 on the year. It just seemed we had some players back. It looked good. Some of the guys are finally off the 6 game, but yet, Cliff, it just seemed that once those dominoes started to fall, they weren't able to stop. It was like our version of the Squid Games.
Yeah, it was not pretty at all. You name it, whether it's ineffectiveness on offense, turnovers, all over the place on special teams. And simply put, I mean, Chad Kelly and company just came in, did what they normally do, which wouldn't have taken a whole lot, to tell you the truth. But I mean, they just punched Montreal in the mouth repeatedly and didn't stop until it was over. And there was just nothing. The Alouettes simply had no answer at all for this. I mean, I said, the Alouettes were playing two teams last Saturday, the Toronto Argonauts and the Montreal Alouettes. They were beating themselves, and Toronto just happened to come along and, hey, we'll give you a hand in beating yourselves. And they were the beneficiaries of it, 100%.
Right away, as you said, turnovers. I mean, Worthy, Stanbeck, Speaker, a turnover on down. So that one boggled my mind, as I mentioned in the flight deck live. The Owls automatic were down 14-0 with just over 7.5 minutes left in the first quarter, and that second touchdown was caused by a fumble.
Points off turnovers.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I mean, the positives too is that we've been wanting to see this all season, and finally we were able to see Chandler Worthy do what he was able to do. And if it weren't for, obviously, I would say I'll give props a good tackle from Boris Bede. He would have scored, but Cody Fajardo and crew came out and were able to take advantage of it and he threw basically a dime to Cole Speaker, who basically got it looked like he got the worst of it, but he
got sunned.
Yeah, but he scored that touchdown, brought us within 7. Everything seemed to be going well, and then we're within 7. Then the wheels fell off, and I think it's one of the things that we have to talk about is because it depends on I guess what color glasses you were watching this game in, and I'm not necessarily saying Alouettes versus, but it's a matter of what you're seeing and what you interpret. The ejection for Austin Mack, that happened right near the end of the first, happened to the end of the first quarter. I think the Owls were down 17-7 at that point, and then from there, as I said, it just turnover after turnover, and it just nothing. The Owls couldn't get anything going at all. So, what was your thought on the Austin Mack ejection? Because we know how his wife feels.
We sure do,
and very, very much so.
And we don't disagree with her either. That's the thing, and it has nothing to do with who she is. It's she detailed it perfectly on X as to how she felt and how it all went down, and it comes down to tell me when I'm telling lies. You read the whole thing, and it's basically a blow by blow of exactly what happened, especially as how we see it. And once again, it has nothing to do with wearing certain colored glasses or anything like that. It's just strictly a football play and strictly what happened in the aftermath of what happened as a result of it. And yeah, unfortunately, the ref's always going to catch the retaliation. And the Argos defender, was instigating stuff, and unfortunately, Mac retaliated. And I'm telling you, it looked like it was part of the shove, as was described. You could almost make the argument maybe it was an open hand punch, maybe, but I felt it was more a retaliation shove than anything else. And somehow that got interpreted as a punch, which of course is going to get you expelled from the game. Which, again, I have a very hard time looking at that and saying, was that really ejection worthy? Penalty? Sure. And I'm sure Austin Mack will be first to tell you, I shouldn't have been involved in that. And no doubt the coaches are going to say the same thing. Like, he was in that, and heat of the moment, call it whatever you will, things are going to happen. But to basically throw out the league leader in reception yards.
What's funny? Still the league leader in reception yards.
Yeah, go figure.
Figure.
But essentially, that's throwing out a high-powered piece of the Alouettes offense. You take that out, and you can see immediately, like, that ejection took the wind right out of Montreal's sails. I mean, they were reeling a little bit after those 2 touchdowns, being scored so quickly, like just as they're trying to get their bearings, all this goes down, and it's just like, what are you supposed to do at this point? And then it really had unfortunately a ripple effect throughout the team and how they played and how everything else went about with this game. It's unfortunate. I mean, I think, quite frankly, I think Austin Mack got jobbed on that one. Yes, he should have been penalized for participating in a scrap, a melee, whatever you want to call it, but I didn't see that as a punch. I didn't see that as ejection worthy, and clearly the referees disagree. And quite frankly, I said at the time there might not be any fines as a result of this, and I say this simply because later on that day, the Calgary Stampeders and Edmonton Elks played a game, and there was a very similar sort of Donnybrook happening. Reggie Bagleton did more or less the exact same thing Austin Mack did. Not only did he not get ejected, I don't think he was. Well, I'm sure there must have been a penalty, but I mean, like he got away relatively scot-free compared to what happened to Mack. I'm like, it's the exact same thing, and he gets nothing. Meanwhile, Austin Mack gets thrown out of the game. No. I mean, the Canadian Football League is notorious for their inconsistencies when it comes to officiating and the doling out of punishment. And if Reggie Bagleton gets off scot-free, whereas Austin Mack does not, no, that doesn't wash with me. That doesn't pass the smell test.
And by the way, this just isn't Alouettes fans complaining and Alouette supporters complaining. There was a strong reaction on social media. Many people making reference to this situation between these 2 players and how it was so different. With the Mac thing,
it's just a simple matter of, if you're going to call it and be consistent across. That's what it comes down to. Be consistent with your calls. You saw it in one game, and if it happens again in another game, you got to do the exact same thing. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. And obviously the Owls got dinged because it was a 25-yard penalty because it was 15 plus an extra 10 for the ejection. It's again, yes, a team is more than just one player, but it's about an entire game plan for the Alouettes or for any team. It's an entire game plan.
Game plan, and again, as we talked about, a focal point of the offense, the league leader in receiving yards, so obviously a very important part of the Montreal offense, and arguably one of the most exciting players to watch. I mean, let's face it, Austin Mack has had a fantastic first year here in the Canadian Football League, and people know who he is now and are paying attention and watching him, and you basically throw him out for, yes, 100% give him the flag, but to throw him out of the game, like you're denying people the opportunity to see one of the top young talents of this league for whatever reason. Like, you want to throw around your muscle, you want to show who's boss or whatever that. Like, okay, fine. If that's really what it is, congratulations, you've done that. Meanwhile, you've basically hamstrung a team that, quite frankly, was reeling. And again, at that point, no. The Alouettes have no one to blame but themselves for letting themselves get into, the quagmire that they were in that game. But at the same time, you're taking away one of the most exciting young players and not letting him do his thing because of not being an unfortunate participant in something that really got blown way out of proportion.
We have learned, you were talking about fines before. The league hasn't announced their fines as of yet, as of this taping. But we do know through local media that the team did fine Mac an undisclosed amount. So it's, I'm not surprised he's going to get fined. I'm curious to know if Bagleton gets fined. Did they see this goes back and forth now? Does Bagleton get fined for this too?
He should. I mean, if he didn't get ejected, he should be fined. And I bet, like I said, the league better not fine. Like, if the Alouettes want to fine, I get it. There's probably like an internal code of conduct that I'm sure Mac must have broken, and if that's the case, then fine.
Mm-hmm.
He should pay the penalty. But in which case, I hope the league takes a look at that and says, okay, we're not going to deal with this. We're not going to, this matter's been resolved as far as we're concerned. No need to hit him further in the pocketbook. But but definitely Bagleton. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he got off scot-free. Like, you want to send a message, and as far as I'm concerned, like, if he doesn't get fined something for his participation in that scuffle, then it really does make me wonder, as far as disciplinary action goes, like what the barometer is, what's the Mendoza line, if you will, for punishment as far as the CFL goes. I mean, like, is there a set of rules for the Eastern Division versus the Western Division? Is there a set of rules for a veteran like Bagleton versus a relative rookie like Mac? Make it make sense. That's all I'm saying. But really, truly, consistency across the board is paramount as far as I'm concerned. And if the league doesn't want to show that, then there's probably much bigger problems afoot that we even would care to realize.
Yeah. So after all was said and done after the first quarter there, Cliff, the Alouettes gave up 20 points, and they were down 20-7 going into the second quarter. And that's when you give up 20 points, and the Owls have not done that many times in their history. I mean, it was only the first time that the Owls had given up 20 plus points in the first quarter since August 3rd, 2018 versus Hamilton, where they gave up 28 points. So you still can't.
Do we dare mention who was the quarterback for that game?
Well, he just didn't this certain someone just recently have his own documentary? Was it on Netflix?
On Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, but again, you go in this, you give up 20 points. Okay. It's gonna be a rough sailing. You know, they're only down by 13, but you know the Owls just could not do anything at all going forward. You know, again, losing 39-10. They weren't able to stop Chad Kelly. They weren't able to stop AJ Ouellette. Again, you know, they pretty much kept him in check the first time that we played him. But I mean, he did get a lot of yards, but it wasn't for major stuff. It's just like nobody can stop this Thor wannabe. I mean, it's crazy. It's
like I don't get it. Like, does the guy smell? Does he not like take shot? Does he not bathe for like 2-3 days before a match, and nobody wants to be around him? Like, like there's got to be something going on. I mean, yeah, he's definitely athletic for sure. I mean, the guy, as we said, difficult as hell to tackle. But is that the reason why? Like, nobody wants to touch this guy, or they just can't get their whole? I just have a hard time believing nobody can tackle this guy, and he just gets to run roughshod over everybody. It's incredible more than anything else.
You know, I agree. And again, it's, you know, Owls only score 3 more points, you know, 3 more points for the rest of the game.
You know what? Let's jump into that, because I'm
okay.
Just when I thought I had cooled down enough from it, I watched the highlights again and just it angried up the blood again. And I am pissed. I am pissed off.
You silly man.
Oof. You know what? This is the thing. That drive, the Alouettes looked like they were getting their act together. Like, yeah, they were knocked for a loop in that first half. There's no question about that. And some would say, like, well, ultimately, you could say they never truly recovered from it. But that drive,
down 23-7, by the way, 23-7 at halftime.
Yeah, but that particular drive, it looked like the offense was finally clicking. They finally got everything working, and they were able to move the ball downfield. And I'm like, okay, there's something here. Like, maybe this is part of the comeback. This is now their opportunity to show that they can do it, and connecting, like firing on all cylinders. Like, this looked like the Alouettes we come to expect. Like, okay, now they're starting to get their act together. Maybe this is the comeback. And what happens? They're on the 3-yard line, the Argos, and they settle for a field goal. That's cowardly. That I especially when you're down by that many points. And yes, I know there's still lots of time left in the game, and no lead is safe, and blah 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 blah. But no, to me, that sent the wrong message to this team, that you're not good enough.
And
that
you're not.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your thought, because I was going to bring it. Well, what I was going to say is that look at the exact same play, and yes, I'm going to be referencing the other league. Actually, it's the 2 teams that you and I both like in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers were also in that exact same situation this past week. Down big to San Francisco, and what did they do on fourth down? Did they go for a field goal? Absolutely not.
No.
They went for the touchdown, got the touchdown. They still lost. They still lost, but it was what the team needed.
Exactly.
Yes, it's there a huge difference between weeks game number 12 versus week number 1. I get that, but I agree with you, Cliff. I mean, you have to set up the second half, and just doing that it was just a cop out.
It really was. It was. You may as well have truly surrendered at that point. That's essentially what it was. And guess what? Worst case scenario, if God forbid, for some reason, Fajardo and company couldn't have gotten into the end zone, okay, then Chad Kelly has to start at his own 3-yard line. And okay, probably what he would have done was just hand off the ball to Ouellette and please get out of the shadows of their own goalpost. But my God, take the time, take the effort, take the chance. You likely would have scored a touchdown. I mean, if you can't score from the 3-yard line, some way, shape, or form, that it's telling. And that essentially was it. That was all the offense for the Montreal Alouettes. 1 touchdown, 1 field goal. That's it. A chip shot field goal, no less. I mean, David Cote could have easily made that in his sleep. So, okay, fine. But when you're down by such a considerable amount, it's the message more than anything else. And at that point, it's like, okay, clearly this team knows they're going to lose this game. They've got no heart left, nothing. They just want to get the hell out of there relatively unscathed. And congratulations, you did, but at what cost? I mean, to me, it was cowardly football. It was that same conservative football that you complained about with Kahari Jones, because that was a Kahari Jones, but he probably would have done that. And Jason Moss, too, was it a Western final or Western semifinal when he was the head coach of the Edmonton Elks? Same thing. I think it was same idea. Down by, I think, 11 or 10 and opted for the field goal. No. I guess sooner or later that those kind of things are going to rear their ugly head. And that's exactly what we saw last Saturday. It really left a sour taste in my mouth. I'll leave it at that.
No, that's fair. And I'm trying to remember, if that was brought up, because they actually did do a short post-game interview with Coach Moss after the game, and I know it's available on YouTube and stuff like that. Go over the team's site. I was trying to remember what he said if that was actually brought up, but yeah, it's just frustrating because dude, I mean, okay, score aside, if you were to look at the stats between these two teams, right, you would think that this was a very competitive game. Obviously, that wasn't the case. I mean, dude, Fajardo was 21 of 24 for 236 yards and a touchdown. No picks. You think that's good. I mean, Chad Kelly only had 278. But the big thing came down to, and this was very telling. After it made us think now, knowing this, because with today's injury report, we found out that William Stanback has been favoring something with his hand, and we're like, what? But the Owls only gained 24 yards rushing, and they had their 3-headed monster out there again. We need to stop pumping this 3-headed monster up, because they just don't seem to be doing what they did back in 2019.
No, and again, I remember well too. One of the concerns with Jason Moss was he abandons the run way too quickly, or doesn't even consider it at all. You've got this 300-headed monster, and I still even remember talking to Coach Moss during training camp about the fact that how excited are you to have 3 studs at running back, and you could tell he was very excited. It really felt like, okay, he got it. And he had also too. He remembered being called out for abandoning the run, and he had his reasons for why he didn't do it in Saskatchewan. And okay, fine. If at the end, he knows what he needed to do, and if he didn't think it was going to work, then okay, then we almost have to believe that he knows what he's doing, especially if they've entrusted him as offensive coordinator there and now head coach here in Montreal. I don't know. I don't know how you can have those 3 powerhouses at running back in your arsenal, and you don't do anything with it. I mean, and it's not.
It's 2 games in a row too, by the way. It's just 2 games in a row that this has occurred. We really haven't had anything on when it comes to rushing.
And again, run defense can't be necessarily the issue because, I mean, BC gave up a 69-yard touchdown run to William Stanback. Walter Fletcher had a pretty nice little scamper late in the fourth quarter as well. It was almost too little too late at that point. But
on the fake punt, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm talking about it in Toronto.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's another great point too. Joshua Antwi, a great run after on the fake punt. That was against BC, but still. The point is, all 3 of these guys can move the ball if you give them the opportunity. The question is, why isn't Coach Musk giving these guys the opportunity to do that? Like, especially if you just can't get anything going. I mean, yes, Fajardo did have almost 300 yards passing, so I mean, he was able to connect in some instances, but whatever was working or whatever you think was working was not working, simply put. And it was just the lack of discipline more than anything else is really what torpedoed this team. Not just with the Mac penalty and ejection, but lots of other. It was like death by 1,000 paper cuts with this team when it comes to its just glaring lack of discipline. And didn't you fire a bunch of coaches for that last year? I don't think those coaches, the coaches that replaced them, I don't think they're getting fired because of this. But it's still hanging out there like a stale fart in the air. You can't avoid it. I'm sorry to say, but I mean, if that's what your team's going to do, and that falls strictly on coaching. I mean, by and large, I think this coaching staff has done a great job, an admirable job. But when stuff like this is happening, and especially against the top tier teams in this league, you can't do this against any team. But I mean, these are the kind of teams that will punish you and will make you eat your own lunch as a result of that. You simply cannot. Like, again, this is what I mean when I say the team is beating itself far worse than what any opponent could do. And what's the result now? This team is now 6-6 in the midst of another losing streak. I mean, you are what your record says you are. And right now, this team is very, very mid.
Yeah.
They're not bad. They're good, but they're not good enough. Simply put, that's if I were to describe the Alouettes in one, simple sentence, it would be that they're good, but they're not good enough. Not now, anyways. And can you change that? Can you fix that reputation? You absolutely can. But the only way you can do that is to win convincingly. You got to, and it starts this Friday against Toronto. I mean, they've clinched their playoff berth. You're going to see them in the playoffs for sure. They're going to be in the playoffs. There's no question about that. Truthfully, I think that I just can't foresee any scenario where they aren't hosting the Eastern Final at BMO Field in November. I simply can't. But you got to start somewhere. This Alouettes team has to start somewhere, and God willing, a much better effort is going to be required this coming Friday. If you want anyone to even come close to taking you seriously at this point, you got to make something happen on Friday.
Yeah, Cardi Fajardo, Cliff, actually completed a pass to 10 different receivers this past week. Obviously, with the ejection of Austin Mack, Chandler Worthy stepped in and did admirably. 4 receptions for 59 yards. He actually, would you believe, sir? He actually led the team with receiving yards. Walter Fletcher and Cole Speaker each had 52 yards. From there, Tyson Philpott had 36. Tyler Sneed, 30. Rita Sebasu, 1 catch for 24. Jeff and Antwi, Antwi, 1 for 6. Sandbeck, 2 for 8. And James Tuck, 1 for 2. I think you agree with me, is that if you just look at the stats alone, it's a good game because, Chad Kelly didn't throw. He didn't throw a touchdown pass. But yet...
Didn't have to.
Yeah.
They beat the Alouettes on the ground.
Now, the other thing that keeps rearing its ugly head, obviously, and it's the same, one of the issues last year for the reason for firing Coach Kahari and for the other dismissals that we had is the penalties, and unfortunately those again are now they aren't as high as they were last year. I think we are 4th overall when it comes to penalties in the CFL this year. But with the Mac thing, we had in grand total we had 9 of them for 101 yards. So.
And again, it's the lack of discipline. These are the things that is what's going to cost teams games, and it has cost the Alouettes games. And where's the accountability? I mean, it's all well and good to fine Austin Mack for his part in this, but maybe the gatekeepers need to be fined as well. Maybe the people that are supposed to be providing an environment where this sort of thing doesn't happen, maybe they need to get hit in the pocketbook a little bit too.
That would be interesting, actually. That'd be very interesting. Alouettes did well, as I mentioned on Flight Deck Live. When it came to defense, they only gave up 2 sacks. One was late in the 4th quarter before Cody came out, and then the other one was when Caleb Evans came in. Again, we seem to be having a problem again, and maybe with what we're seeing this week on who's potentially going to be activated, which we'll find out on Friday, so stay tuned to all of our socials for when that is available. You'll see it there for the depth chart. Kavian Ento, again, seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time for a lot of these things. But again, no passing touchdowns. That's good. That was good. So, I mean, it's about shoring things up. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but it's very possible with who the Alouettes acquired this past week may help, along with the, yin to yang from Sean Lemon to this person here. So we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So, but thoughts on the defense before we move on? We can put this one to bed.
I mean, the run defense was clearly non-existent because yes, AJ Ouellette had 2 rushing touchdowns, and even old man Andrew Harris got in on the action of running roughshod over people. Like I guess he felt, I can't let this young punk, steal all the glory. Let me get in on some of this action. And there's one carry where I think he had half of the Alouettes defense on his back, and he still managed to rumble from
He also had
several yards.
Argo Lyman also pushing him. What is funny though, Cliff? That was only for 9 yards. You know what is funny when we were watching for that the first time? It really did seem longer than 9 yards. It really did. And it was like, and then I look at the stats, like that was only 9 yards. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, yes, the Alouettes gave up 100 yards. Ouellette had over 105 himself. So yeah, things they got to do better, as I said. What started off with Mac, the turnovers. And by the way, these turnovers themselves, they were the CFL type of turnover where you lose one. And as people need to remember in the CFL, you don't have to recover the ball. You just have to be the last person to touch it before it goes out of bounds. And that's basically what it was on these. That's all that it was.
Yeah,
so
it was just you just have to be in the right place at the right time. And that's exactly what had happened was...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, just that Chandler Worthy fumble, the William Stanback fumble, both of those, just you just hope, okay, if you're going to fumble it out of bounds, hopefully no one touches it. But unfortunately, there was always a defender just able to just put their paw on it just enough to yeah, that's ours now. And can't even get mad about it. But, I mean, just protecting the ball was just such a,
Which is more of a bonehead play to you? The going for the field goal on 4th at the beginning of the third, or the that wacky, was it 4th try at 4th and 2? I think that's what it was. Was it a 4th and 2? Sorry, 3rd and 2. Yeah, which to you is more egregious?
Oh, without question, going for field goal on the 3rd. Yeah. Once again, it speaks to the lack of faith you all of a sudden have in this offense, and to me, I can't say it enough times. You're sending the wrong message. You're sending the message that this team can't. Not only can they not hang with a Toronto Argonauts, but I mean, we just don't trust you enough. Simply put, at this point in the year, if you don't trust your offense, you don't trust the guys that are out there on the field to get to get 3 yards essentially, or even 2, even just if only to keep the get a fresh set of downs. If you don't trust your team to do even that, then what are you even doing here? What are we even doing at this point? Like, I mean, this isn't like training camp or preseason where you're allowed to make these kinds of mistakes. Like, at this point, you know who your team is. You are who you are. Like, you've got to, if you haven't figured out your identity now, you're simply not going to. And I'm sorry, I can't abide by that. I simply cannot accept that at this point in the season. Like I said, these games count now more so than ever. I mean, we are truly in the second season. We're truly at the point now where you cannot afford to screw up anything. And then you do stuff like this, and it's just it's maddening. Like, there is no defense for it. I'm sorry, there simply isn't. Yeah. Like, even the most diehard, well, I shouldn't say that, because I saw a few diehard Alouettes fans trying to justify and I think that, okay, well, the team will get it figured out. Like, no, it's sad to say, but no, they couldn't get it figured out on that unfortunate September day.
Yeah. Did you happen to miss our special extended interview with coming up Hall of Famer? Because it would be just this Friday, Josh Bork. If you happen to miss it, head over to our webpage over at alouettesflightdeck.ca. It's gotten some great feedback. A lot of people have listened to this thing, and they're just loving this interview. These long form interviews, I don't want to necessarily call them a specialty for us, because I think everybody does their own, interviews the way they feel they need to do them. But this one was great. This one really was great. And yes, I'm tooting our own horn, but it's well worth a listen. So head over to the to our archive and catch up on it if you haven't yet already, before he's inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame.
That's right. It becomes officially official this Friday. So while the Alouettes are hopefully going to find a way to hang with the Toronto Argonauts, our man Josh Berg is going to be in Hamilton, getting his ring, getting fit, getting the jacket. He gets to see his bust for the first time, and he will be able to officially say, I am a Canadian Football Hall of Famer. And that's pretty awesome.
That's right.
And we are very thankful that we had the chance to talk to him about his career. So yes, folks, if you haven't already, head over to YouTube, wherever you download the podcast, or just go to alouettesflightdeck.ca. Make sure you check out this interview. Again, I think we did, like you, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think we did do a pretty fantastic job in helping celebrate this man's absolutely Hall of Fame worthy career.
Exactly. A few little news and notes before we get to the preview of the Owls versus the Toronto Argonauts this Friday over at Percival Molson. The first thing that the Alouettes did announce what seems to be, which is fantastic, their yearly fan bus game. They've had one for the longest time, less the COVID seasons and the COVID era, but they have brought it back. It's going to be for the Ottawa game on September 30th. Head over to their website, the Alouettes website. If there are still spots available, great pricing. I was doing a historical look back, Cliff, at the prices for these fan buses. It's a pretty damn good price that they're offering this time around. It's less than last year. I'll put it to you that way. It's less than last year. So right there is a positive. Also, if you haven't already, on the Alouettes website, they are asking for your input on the potential 2024 home dates. I know you filled it out. I filled it out. We know which day we're staying away from. It begins with a T.
Ends with an Thursday.
It begins with a, yeah. I was going to say, it begins with a TH. Yeah. So head over to the Owls website and let them know when you would rather go see games. By the way, did you notice this? There were some interesting times that they have offered for next year. Considering what we thought that the CFO was going hard on Sunday night football earlier in the season, some of the times are actually very interesting for for Saturday and Sunday afternoon games. I thought I don't know what if anything else stood out to you besides those, but those really that Sunday options was one of the things that really stood out to me the most.
Yeah. And I think this year has definitely proven that there is very much a market for Sunday night football, at least before the NFL does their version of Sunday night football and even into the afternoon. I mean, truthfully, I think it's been a lot of fun to see basically at least one football game Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, however you want to time-wise, however you want to phrase it. But basically 4 days, one game. You don't have to worry about overlapping. You don't have to worry about double headers or even triple headers like we saw this past Saturday. Yeah. I mean, it's a little much.
And this week too, right?
No, it's 2 games Friday, 2 games.
Is it? Okay.
2 games Friday, 2 games on Saturday.
Okay. All right.
So,
yeah, but go do it. They're running a contest too. So they'll pick a name, and I think you'll get a team jersey if I'm not mistaken. But head over to the Alouettes website to check out those 2 things. I mentioned
your
it before.
Heard.
That's right. I mentioned it before, Cliff, and I know you wanted to. You told me specifically that you wanted to talk about this because it is a pretty big deal, and it can easily help the Alouettes quite a bit. Especially on the defensive side of the ball. The Owls assigned a pretty well-known CFL vet player, didn't they?
They sure did. You want to talk about how this defense has been decimated with injuries, and guys that are trying to fill in the spots are just they're good, but like I said, unfortunately, maybe not good enough. Well, help is on the way, and as far as signings go, this was I'll put it on par with the Sean Lemon signing earlier this year, and there's a lot of parallels I think to this signing, particularly to the Sean Lemon signing. On Sunday, the Alouettes announced they had signed a free agent deal with Darnell Sankey, formerly of the Calgary Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and also a newly crowned XFL champion. He was with the Arlington Renegades, who won this year's XFL championship. So not just bringing Grey Cup experience to the Alouettes, but XFL championship experience to the Alouettes. So again, a player who last year led in tackles, definitely a very dangerous foe. When you look at this linebacking core, they've definitely taken a hit and definitely could use the help, especially with Tyrell Richards still not at 100%.
Yeah.
And nothing against Frederick Chagnon. He's been very, very serviceable. He's definitely done a very solid job, but having a Darnell Sankey in the lineup will be a huge boost for the Alouettes big time defensively, especially a unit that really needs it, because I look at this linebacking core and I'm just not seeing enough pressure to the quarterback. I'm not seeing enough disruption. I think the front 7 by and large do a good job, but still could be doing a lot more. And we saw what adding Sean Lemon did to the Alouettes initially. They got a huge bump. Everybody stepped up as a result of his play. And I have to believe adding Darnell Sankey into the lineup is going to bring this linebacking core back up and get everybody playing at a much higher level. So I'm definitely excited to see what he can do. I definitely like to see what kind of contributions he can make to this team. And I think it couldn't have come at a better time, quite frankly, because this defense really, truly has taken slumps this year. And you got to do something. You got to create a spark. You got to do something to get this defense back on track. And I think a signing like this definitely sends the message that, we're not playing. We're not, we want to be in this conversation for sure.
Makes me wonder, we signed Lemon, now Sankey. It really makes me wonder where we are when it comes to the cap this year. Obviously, it's weird to say it this way. We've been quote unquote lucky that we've had so many players on the 6 game that we haven't had. The money hasn't gone against the cap. So I guess it gives us the opportunity to sign these players. But again, it goes to Sean Lemon too. Why didn't it? And I understand, think he was playing in the XFL, but why didn't anybody want to pick him up until now? You know what I mean? People asked that about Sean Lemon too. So, obviously, but like Lemon, I think he's going to get a prorated contract, but hopefully this leads to more coming. Does well this for the rest of the year, and then going into 2024, if we re-sign them, both of them actually. So,
well, it helps stop the bleeding, so to speak. And you're right. I mean, it's kind of a interesting circumstance with so many players on the 6-game list. Yes, their salary doesn't count, so that's where you get to have the opportunity to sign a Darnell Sankey or a Sean Lemon, and then eventually, once these injured players come back, if they come back, then yeah, you're going to have to do some gymnastics to be able to fit all this under the salary management system. But maybe by then too, certain players just may be shown the door because you can't afford to keep everybody. And especially too, if you had spent most of the year on the 6-game list injured, what is releasing them really going to make that much of a difference other than freeing up the money to be able to pay these guys?
Yeah.
This is something that I have no doubt in my mind that Danny Machocha has considered, and if he's shown he's not afraid to make the moves if he has to. I mean, whether it's releasing players who are Quebec born, I mean that was the big narrative with him, right? That he was signing all the Quebec born players. Yeah. He's actually released quite a few of them or traded them or just gotten rid of them. I mean, it simply comes down to you got to perform like that. Yeah, it'll get you in the door being born in Quebec with Danny Machocha, but if you're not producing, if you're not doing what he needs to do, he needs you to do, then you'll be on the outs. Simple as that. So I have to wonder if some of these guys that come back after their stint on the 6-game list, if they may be given a chance to show that they can still go, but if they can't, then they're out the door.
I was about to say that easily is leading into what we're going to talk about next. By the way, if you have any comments, or you want to just chat to Cliff and I, besides heading out on social media, you can email us directly. You can email me at tim.capper@alouettesflightdeck.ca. You can also email Cliff at cliffyd.pine@alouettesflightdeck.ca. We want to hear what you guys have to say. Who you want coming up on the show. If you don't agree with what we're saying, just shoot us an email. We love constructive criticism. We really do. So just it'd be by email or by social. Just let us know.
And if you're watching or if you're listening to us on YouTube, let us know in the comments as well. I mean, that's also a great, let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, so on. I mean, that's, as you said, Tim, we want to hear it all. I mean, we always say, if you like what you're hearing, tell a friend. If you don't like what you're hearing, tell us. Let us know what we're doing wrong so we can fix it.
Yep. So the Alouettes and Argos are playing this Friday at Percival Molson Stadium. The Owls are
not a rubber match.
No, it is not. Oh yeah, you're right. No, it is not. It is a back-to-back though, and this to me, I know they're just numbers themselves, Cliff, but I still think it shows how, at least for the Alouettes in their recent history, when it comes to doing back-to-backs, that the Owls do quite well. Specifically, like in the last 12 back-to-back series, they've won 1, they've lost 1, and they've split 10. For the Argos since 1998 versus the Argos since 1998, the Alouettes, because it's only been 10 back-to-back series, they've won 2, lost 1, and split 7. Bodes well for the Alouettes going into this game versus the Argos. As I said, do something in order to improve what they're showing from last week. The Owls, according to DraftKings, are a 6.5-point underdog. This is one of the things that you and I talked about pre-show, actually, Cliff, is that the over-under was actually very interesting. It's the highest of the league. It's the highest within the league this week at an over-under of 52.5 points.
Mm-hmm. Well, and not so surprising considering the first game these two teams played earlier this year at Percival Molson Stadium was a bit of a shootout and a very tightly contested affair until Toronto pulled away and won the game. But I think that too was like about 60 points was scored in that game. Last week, Toronto Argonauts damn near scored 50 points on their own. So I mean, it's a little surprising to see, but maybe we shouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that this game will be a shootout either necessarily this coming Friday, but I mean, 50 points between the two teams is not impossible, even if it's only end up being one of those teams that score close to 50 points, but maybe it's not so unusual. Maybe you can take the over and see what happens. But yeah, maybe it's not so unusual. That's all. I mean, I understand the sticker shock when you saw it, but when you look back at the two games that these two teams have played against each other this year, it's not necessarily so surprising.
I just kind of remember it's very rare that you do see an over under within the CFL when it comes to betting over 50. It's usually it's anywhere between 43 to 47 points, something like that. But I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know, people. But either way, again, heading into this game, this is a game where, yes, the Argos can clinch the Eastern Division Championship, which is weird considering what week we're in. But then again, it's happened before with many other teams before in the past. But
like the Alouettes.
Yeah, like the Alouettes.
Believe it or not, folks, there was a time when the Alouettes would have had the division sewn up by the end of September. That's just how good they were, believe it or not. I know you may have to look in history books to see it. That's how long ago it was, but
it's since we've been here. Since the Owls been back in '96. Yeah, I think they were like 9-1. Yeah, 9-1 we clinched, and then the team crapped the bed with, was it Rod Rust? I think they lost. Like that team. Yeah,
and those Grey Cup years too. The team will pretty much had first place sewn up by, at the very least the end of September. I mean,
that's true.
It's not so unusual. It's everybody talks about parity and how important it is and how it's better for football as a whole, but obviously Toronto didn't get that memo because they've lost one game this year.
Yeah, but and you're right, by the way, with your comment there, because look what's happened in the Grey Cup. Not necessarily it's a one game. It's not the World Series, best of 7. It's not the NBA Finals, So it's a one game championship.
Just takes one game.
That's all it takes. So, but dude, just seeing, if anybody's been keeping track of the practice reports this week, this could potentially be, and you were talking about it before about when guys coming off the 6th game, this could potentially be a smorgasbord. That's right. I said it. Try to spell it. Smorgasbord of players coming off the 6th game this week, including Cliff, Wesley Sutton, including Cliff, Kayon, Julian, Grant, KJG, including Deontay Ruffin, Avery Williams. So we're getting some of these guys back that we have been sorely missing.
Yeah.
And again, it goes to, by the way, the whole thing with William Stanback. Supposedly he is available, but he did not play for the entire week. But again, stay tuned to our socials on Thursday, tomorrow, where you will see what the depth charts will be.
Yeah, so those guys, if potentially those guys coming back, along with Darnell Sankey making his Alouettes debut, like I said, help is on the way. But I mean, you got to put it together. Simply put, I mean, you simply cannot have another game like you did this past Saturday. That was, it happened, but you got to flush it. You got to just burn the tape. Whatever you got to do, it's over. It's done with. You got to keep looking forward. And simply put, the Alouettes have to be a lot more competitive. They have to play a lot better than what they have I know they're playing the top tier teams, and nobody expected them to win any of them. And sure enough, they haven't so far. Something's got to change, though. Something's got to give. And if nothing else, think back to that game earlier this year, that shootout between the Argos and the Alouettes at Percival Molson. I mean, that was arguably one of the best games I've seen this season. It was a fun, entertaining affair. Yes, the Alouettes came up a little short.
But we were happy. We were happy with how the team had played. Less a couple of things here and there, but we were happy how the team had played.
I know. I think I even joked, should we really be feeling this good about a 2-3 team? But lo and behold, I mean, that's really what happened. But at least we saw signs of life. We saw opportunities to change things, to get better and improve. And what happened? The Alouettes went on a streak. They went on a 4-game winning streak as a result.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not inconceivable to think something like that could happen again, but it's got to start somewhere. And I just hope if they find a way just to keep Chad Kelly and company in check. I mean, let's hopefully we're going to get that kind of match again where it's competitive, a shootout, what do you want to call it? Just, something that's going to be decided in the last 3 minutes, which is what everybody wants and what makes this league so much fun. Because let's face it, blowouts are not fun to watch. I mean, even watching the Banjo Bowl, watching the Riders, after they got that feel-good win at home for them and then just absolutely get dog-walked by the Bombers in Winnipeg, I mean, that's not fun to watch. I mean, games like example, the Calgary-Edmonton game, that was excitement, like start to finish. But if the Alouettes can pull off something like that, if find a way to win if possible, or at the very least show that you haven't given up, because that's really what it looked like this past Saturday. It looked like the Alouettes had given up. They looked like they didn't want to be there, quite frankly. There's nothing that you could say or do to convince me otherwise. I mean, they looked like they had to be there because they have to work. They have to. This is their job. They had to be there. They showed up, relatively speaking.
Yeah. So bacon.
Oh,
Cliff, bacon.
Bacon does make it better. There's no question. Bacon makes it better.
Yep. Owls have some things scheduled for this week. I think we got the BMX this week at halftime. The season ticket holders, if you haven't already, remember you still can go and get your cap, your season ticket holder gift or member's gift.
Yeah.
Head over to the ticket office and pick that up.
If you're into that sort of thing, Bud Light and Budweiser are $5 throughout the game.
Yep. Student ticket night also. So, hey, again, Friday night football tonight.
Or Friday Night Lights.
I won't do that again. Yeah. So yeah, I again, weather's gonna be pretty nice. It'll be about 21 degrees at kickoff. So again,
we're still in summertime, folks. That's the thing. We're still in the summertime. So
it's over 20. I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with you there. Also, don't forget to make sure that you stay tuned for the next episode of Flight Deck Live. You'll be catching us live from Percival Molson Stadium. Following the game, stay tuned to all of our socials where we will be broadcasting on X. We'll be broadcasting on Facebook and broadcasting on YouTube. So stay tuned for our message on when we're going to go live, and we'll see you guys after the game. And also, as a reminder, too, we're hoping to have some more information coming out, some updates and stuff like that for our Fan Fest, our fan meetup on Thanksgiving Monday. But stay tuned. And again, if you happen to miss it, I know we're leaving to the last bit of the show again, but Cliff, go and remind everybody who we've partnered with.
Oh, that would be the Les Gars Qui Vivent tailgate crew that sets up every home game at Percival Molson Stadium. It's on the east side of the stadium, the east side of into Park Mont Royal. You can't miss it. It's a silver trailer, blue pop-up tents, people just gathering, having a good time. Very thankful that Claude and the gang are going to welcome us for the fan meetup on Thanksgiving Monday. By all means, come check it out. Again, you want to get to know some great football people, great football fans that love this game and are with this team through do or die, through thick and thin. This is where it's at. So come, by all means, be a part of this. Come, everybody is welcome to join in. Bring your own beverages. Come meet some great fans, and of course, don't forget, get your Flight Deck shirts. Get the Cartoon Bird 56. Get another one if you'd rather. But we want to see
a month. You got about a month, depending on where you're located, to order this thing from the shop. But you'll still be welcomed.
Yeah, I'm just saying it would be really awesome though to see everybody come with their Cartoon Bird 56 shirt or the logo shirt or whatever shirt you happen to have. But we want to see the Flight Deck flight crew. We want to see you all. You're all welcome to the tailgate. You're all welcome to be a part of this thing. The Thanksgiving Day game is going to be an absolute blast, no matter what. And we want you to be a part of it. That's why we're doing it on Thanksgiving Day. Just come and be a part of it. Get your shirt. You got the promo codes. You got no excuse. I mean, save a bit of money. Get your shirt. Make sure you're a part of this incredible event. And we're very excited to be able to team up with the tailgate crew and be able to present, the fan meetup as a result.
And stay tuned for possibly some other stuff, including maybe a raffle for a certain satin Delta jacket, but stay tuned for more information on that. So, so we appreciate you guys. We love it when you come and listen to us and talk about the Alouettes. Again, we will be back here next week, but you also see us very shortly on Flight Deck Live. So
make sure you're subscribed. Make sure if you're not following us already, make sure you're following. Make sure you get notified. When we go live.
Hit that bell on YouTube. Hit that bell. You'll know when we go live. That's a guarantee. So
100%. So I mean, you'll know it. Make sure you check in, interact with us. Like I said, we love doing the live shows for you guys. So by all means, make sure you tune it out. Like win or lose, it's hopefully when we go live after the game, we'll have something positive to talk about. We'll hopefully be talking about a great Alouettes win. And if not, then we're still going to be live. And we're still going to want to interact with all of you. So please make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you get, like I said, hit the notification bell on YouTube. If you're following us on X or Facebook, then you're going to get notified of that as well. Make sure you tune in and be a part of this with us.
Exactly. So we will talk to you guys very soon. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.